All right, we are live. We are live. Guys, I love going live. I love teaching. I love educating. Let's see what we're going to be talking about today. First of all, I have to make sure my audio is good to go. As you guys know, if you've been rocking with me for a little bit, I must post in my Facebook group. So let me go ahead and do that. Hope you guys are having a great day today, a great week. I know I am. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about, is cold calling dead? Again, is cold calling dead, especially going into 2024? So I have some information I'm going to share with you all. I have some information I'm going to transmit to you all. And actually, we're going to be going through the laws here. I'm just going to put this up here right here so you guys can read through this if you want. That's going to be the first order of business. We're going to definitely just talk about what the laws are, for one. And two, is there any hope in cold calling, specifically with wholesaling? So again, guys, let me post this inside of my Facebook group. I literally just completed my notes here, so I'm shifting in my train of thought to live stream mode, and we're going to go through this. Okay, boom. And let's go ahead and tag everyone. Let's go ahead and go on YouTube as well. Let me make sure that my audio is good. Mute myself. Okay, guys, we are live. We're good to go. So we already have a comment here. And guys, if you have comments, I do Q&A. So this isn't like me doing a lecture, right? I have something that I present, or excuse me, something that I have prepared. But if the conversation goes off on a tangent, I'm more than fine entertaining those tangents. It's all about helping you all. It's all about helping you all, not helping me, right? So I tend to be in a box over here with what I do. So what I do on a daily basis, I'm grabbing my phone here, making sure IG is working. What I do on here on a daily basis, guys, is I basically run multiple wholesaling companies, right? So I have a team that helps me out, and so I run these companies for them. So it's basically operations management consulting, right? That's why I call it. That's why I love doing. And I tend to get a little bit in my own head and in my own world. And guys, even though I have a little bit of a following here in the real estate industry, by no means does that mean I'm like out here at mastermind events or even watching like other real estate influencers. I'm not. Right. So if something is important that you guys want me to cover, please bring it to me. I'm not the end all be all here. So again, this is for you all. If I don't know the answer, I'll research it. If I can't find it, I'll ask somebody. Right. So Brandon Whitner, I think that's how I should pronounce your last name. If not, let me know. Whitner. He said, dude, I've been waiting a minute to catch you live. Love your content. My question is, do you use any SMS? Absolutely. I love SMS. And so how I use SMS is like this. So I'm going to go and share my screen here. I have a few notes, but let's go ahead and do it. So SMS. I'll go ahead and just go into like the tools that I use. And that might be a little bit small, guys. Let me know. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Okay. So the tools I use for SMS are, the main one is REI Reply. Now, there are some other ones out there. There was one I got recommended last month by Jamel. So appreciate you, Jamel. He knows who he is. And I'm going to check that out. But I've basically been using REI Reply since January of this year. I used it some last year, but mainly this year. I got really good at the nuances with it. Not only the nuances, but being able to troubleshoot it. So all the best practices that I know to make REI Reply work, I think I figured out all the bugs. I think I figured out all the best practices, and our SMS campaigns go off. They perform really well. And I'm not just saying this is just because it's REI Reply. And I'm going to talk to you guys about this too. It's the list that you're going to use, and I'm going to show you guys the lists that are performing well for us right now. I'm going to put together a list on the live stream, so that's going to be exciting. So I use REI Reply. Some of the best practices I use are purchasing 10 phone numbers, sending out no more than one message a minute per phone number, so 60 an hour. And this is tedious, guys. So here's the thing. A lot of people say SMS doesn't work. That's not true. SMS just takes more work. Okay. Again, I'm going to say it again. SMS works, but it just takes more work now, right? It's not a matter of, oh, you know, I can't get TCPA compliance or none of these texting tools work. You just have to do more work. Your phone numbers can't be bad. Your DIDs, excuse me, not your DIDs, the phone numbers, your data can't be bad. It has to be good, or else the carriers will block you. Now, I haven't seen yet, knock on wood, anybody's account getting completely banned after it got A2P compliant. But what will happen is you may get a 24-hour suspension. You may only be able to send off 100 messages before you get blocked. And that's what was happening to me. And I determined that I thought it was because we were sending off too many messages a minute. So we were sending off 2 messages a minute. Then we dropped it down to 1, and we were still getting blocked. And what I found is it really came down to the phone numbers. So, we checked the phone numbers with Nomo Robo to make sure they weren't flagged as spam, which is all great. But we also found that we need to be messaging. We need to have at least 10 phone numbers. So I really don't like using more than one phone number to send off 100 messages for less than a 24-hour period. So if I message 60 sellers, 60 outbound phone numbers, 60 sellers at 8 a.m. this morning, I'm not going to use that same phone number tomorrow on Friday. So I'm recording this today on Thursday at 8 a.m. If I message the sellers on Saturday, then that's when that phone number I would use. Guys, nobody's teaching this stuff. This isn't in REI Replies, best practices or knowledge base, right? They have a knowledge base to utilize whenever you encounter issues with the system. But these are things that we're learning because the whole TCPA, the A2P compliance is new, right? I think we're hitting a year in October next month of it actually being implemented, right? I think it was implemented October of last year. So I had to learn. A lot of investors have to learn. And to be honest, I like the fact that it's a little bit difficult to utilize and to implement and to actually get the most out of. You have to put in effort. And guess what? That effort allows us to get a little bit of a competitive advantage over here. Great. So Nick said, greetings, CC. I hope all has been well. I have a 6K budget. I want to hit you up about going over strategy. Absolutely. DM me. Or what would be best, guys, is I'm going to keep this this little thing up here on the top left to work with us. It's a Google form. So I'm working on my website. I've actually gone back and forth with certain things I was going to offer for the coming months, because it's really based off of what you guys need. But if you want to work with us, guys, I'll put the link here right there. If you copy and paste that, I know it's a little messy, or just take your phone and then take the QR code, and it should go to a Google form. Well, let's see. It doesn't look like it's going to a Google form here. Let me see here. It took me to Restream. let me check here, guys, because I don't want you going through the wrong QR code. Let's see here. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Just want to make sure if you guys do want to get in touch with us, you're able to. So let me make sure that's proper. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, now it should send you to, I know you can't see the background. It should send you to this Google form here once you do that. Let's see here. Yeah, so that'll be the best way to get in touch with us, because, guys, I'm not on Facebook all the time. I basically just go in there and stream. I check my comments and just like once a week, but sometimes I don't even comment back. So it'll take you to that form. All right, guys, let's get back to it. So I love, guys, this is what I mean. I love going on these tangents, and this is how you guys know it's live and not pre-recorded. But Brandon, I hope that answered your question a little bit. To be honest, I love SMS. If I were to put a campaign together now on a budget, I would do SMS, because we're getting usually a contract a week with a 10,000 record list. So, but there's like a cap on it. SMS is great, but usually we can only message those individuals once, right? So once you go through 10,000 texts, say you're doing 5,000 messages a day, that'll be up in 2 weeks. So you need to have a lot of unique data. Now, you can run campaigns to people that didn't respond, but you're not going to have the same response rate. So it requires you to have not only a lot of data, but good data. So gone are the days of using like DataZap and all these cheap skip tracing companies, because if you have bad data, the phone carriers will flag you and you will get blocked. Again, your account's not going to get un-A2P verified. They're not going to ban you, but it's going to be annoying, because you're going to send off 100 messages a day, and then you're going to get blocked. You're going to send off 200, and then you're going to get blocked. So those are the issues that I have encountered and how I've overcome them over the course of the year. So, guys, let's get back to it. If you have any questions, let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and jump into what we're going to be discussing today. Let's go ahead and go back. Excuse me, I didn't mean to put that there. Let's go ahead and go back to our intro screen here. So the first thing I want to cover, guys, are what are the laws surrounding cold calling, because there's a lot of misinformation out here. So the laws that govern cold calling, it's called TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act. It was enacted in 1991. Okay, designed to limit the number of telemarketing phone calls that people receive. Okay, allows the consumer to dictate their availability for phone calls. So again, cold calling isn't something that's all bad, but we just need to put boundaries and laws around it just to make sure we're not calling people at midnight, right? Wouldn't that be annoying? But I'll be honest, I've taken some cold calls before, and I've given money to people that have called me. How do you know? And you may say, well, Cece, that doesn't sound like you at all. Well, to be honest, whenever well, I can't talk. University of South Carolina calls me, my alumni, Go Cox. If they call me, I usually give them $100 at least. So the Alumni Association. So that's a cold call. I'm not expecting it. So a cold call just doesn't have to be centered around selling a widget or, trying to buy somebody's house. And really, a cold call, whenever you call somebody and they give you their property information, that person could be waiting for you to call them. So we're not annoying the people that actually want to hear from us. It may seem like that, guys, because we have to go through a lot of homeowners to get a lead, which is why we have virtual assistants that help us out. And hopefully you're using VAs and you're not cold calling yourself unless you're on a budget. But for the most part, guys, the people that actually tell us and tell us their property information, fill out our forms, goes through our entire script, interested in an offer, these people want to hear from us. It's just a numbers game. Okay. So those people aren't going to get annoyed, just like I don't get annoyed when University of South Carolina calls me. But if University of Iowa called me to try to, donate to their alumni fund, I have no affiliation with Iowa. I'm going to be annoyed. But let's just say they lost their alumni list, or they just want to get some more money. They may say, well, let's just call, people all over the country. That's why we have a targeted list. So I hope you guys understand the analogy there. So guys, companies must have a do not call list. So any dialer that you're using, we use Batch. You must upload that list, and it must have a DNC list. I prefer to also scrub it against a litigator scrub list. That's just to protect yourself from any sneaky litigators that may want to, sue you. And that has happened to, not me, to some friends of mine. Happened to one guy in particular. But he was actually pestering a seller. It's when he first started. He was pestering the seller, and the seller was like, take me off your list. And he was being aggressive. And he ended up sending him a contract. And the seller actually sent him a contract back. But it was a contract to pay him $5,000 over the course of 4 months because he said, you should have stopped messaging me. He was like, either pay me that or I'm going to sue you for $20K to go to small claims court. That was a professional litigator, right? He wasn't a lawyer or anything, but basically a litigator type seller. So we do want to honor these. We do want to honor these laws here, guys. So companies have to provide their name, the name of the company they're calling on behalf, and a telephone number, address where they can be contacted. I'm just going to say this. We don't really do that, right? Now we provide a name, but it's not our LLC name. We're not stupid out here. And especially if you have a Google My Business, or you're on Google Maps, guys. Some of you guys watching, you have brick and mortar investment companies. Shout out to you guys. I don't think you want to give your cold leads, cold prospect list, your actual business name and address so they could go on Google if you have 25-star reviews and end up trashing you on Google. That's just not smart. It's not smart, right? That doesn't make sense to me. Let me know if I'm not thinking about that clearly, but I want to do that. And that has happened to people. So we have to use some common sense here. But we do tell them our name. Now, if they do answer our questions and they want to continue the phone call, then yes, we will give them our business name eventually, right? It's just protecting ourselves and protecting our reputation. It's the same way if you were to do cold email to a cold email list. Some of you guys email blast your prospect list because they come with emails. If you do that, guys, well, you're not going to email the sellers from your domain. You have about 100 different domains that you're cycling through and you're warming them up every day. And your domain may be like mine is garlandhousebuyers.com. So Garland House Buyers, but I may have a domain that I'm cold emailing my prospect list to, and it may say, or it may be titled, 123 Garland House Buyers, or 456 garlandhousebuyers.com, or selltogarland.com, something like that. It's the same thing. So when we do cold prospecting, it's just best to protect your actual asset that you're conducting your business under. Okay. So no calls should be made before 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. local time. These are cold calls. An important caveat to state here is, guys, this does not mean if a seller says, hey, call me back at 10 or call me back at midnight. Guys, I've called sellers back at 11 p.m. at night and talked to them up until 1 o'clock. You got to do what you got to do to get the deal done. I still do that to this day. So if the seller's like, hey, I'm a nurse, I'm a traveling nurse, or I'm a trucker, hey, I'm going to get some sleep. I drove all day. I'll be on the road back at 9 o'clock. Let me grab some coffee, and then we can chat about selling that property at midnight. How many of your competitors are going to do that? Again, I build structured businesses for people, but when you're first starting off, you may get a deal over some of the clients that I work with because we're building companies that are conventional companies, right? That take the stress off the client, and we're focused on volume. But if you're just starting, you better do what you need to do, because these brick and mortar companies are the companies that I'm setting up aren't doing this because our VAs aren't working, because we have systems in place. Now, that's fine for the first 1 or 2 years you're doing real estate, but guys, that gets old quickly. At some point, you're going to want to have some sort of structure around your real estate company. You're either going to have to by force, meaning you get sick, or you have to take care of a family member, or your spouse gets pregnant, unforeseen circumstances, parent gets sick, you have to take care of them, then you're forced to systematize your company, right? So that's usually why that happens to a lot of people. Or 50% of the time people get burned out and they're just, man, I'm tired of doing this. They say, hey, I just want to systematize my company. So, but when you're first starting, definitely, if somebody says, hey, call me back at X amount of time, call them. But you don't want to cold call a list after 9 p.m. local time. I would say 8 p.m. is really the cutoff. So callers, companies can't use artificial or pre-recorded voices when getting in touch with a resident. Okay, we're going to go back to that. If auto dialing calls cannot connect to multi-line businesses. So I think what they mean by that, this isn't really relevant for us, but I guess it can't connect to multiple businesses at once. I don't know. No unsolicited advertising faxes are allowed. If you know what this means, let me know, guys. I'm not sure of that. But the reason why I showed this was basically to talk about the AI part of it, because the topic that we're talking about here, guys, is cold calling dead? I'll tell you this, guys, cold calling would never be dead. It won't. It's been around since during telegrams. I'm pretty sure when people were sending telegrams, you can't tell me that when people were sending telegrams on a transatlantic railroad, there wasn't somebody smart, some smart ass like myself, that was saying, well, man, I could use this telegram to send off to see if somebody wants to buy my goods. It'll be a lot quicker than mail. What if I have some, what if I set up a business in Oklahoma and I want people to visit my city? I want to populate it, right? I just set up a railroad town in Oklahoma, and I want people to come from the South to populate the Midwest. That's marketing. I would say that was the start of cold calling, even though it was a telegram. It was over telecommunications. That's probably a precursor to email. So the laws just became in effect in 1991, but people were cold calling long before that. And usually these laws come into effect when people have had enough, right? So, things were probably going on. Like it was like the Wild Wild West probably back before the 1990s. I was alive, but I wasn't actively in business. I was only a youngin' then. So if you guys can, elaborate or illuminate rather on what was happening back then, that would be great. If any of you guys were around like back in the 90s, just what things looked like before these laws were put into place, maybe the 80s. I don't know, were stockbrokers who were coked up on cocaine calling people at midnight trying to sell them penny stocks? I don't know. You guys tell me. That's funny. All right, guys, let's go ahead and look at the comments here. Again, we have 13 people on the meeting here, guys. Thank you for joining. So, Brandon, you said I use REI reply also. So the key is to use more numbers. Yes. So use about 10 numbers. But here's the thing. It's not like, I don't know how long you've been texting, but if you were texting before those laws came into place, and guys, we're talking about texting now. If you were texting like when we were using Roar or TextMagic, and we were just uploading a list of homeowners and we were just setting up the campaigns in the morning and just blasting them, and we were just like going off, getting coffee and just coming back and checking the messages, those days are over. What you have to do in REI reply is set up your campaigns every time you need to send them off. So we have a texting VA. We have full-time texting VA. Shout out to you, Nikki. She's awesome. And Nikki, every morning, she goes in, she has her list of homeowners that she's messaging. She selects the ones that she's going to message. She sends a list to us or to our QA team just to make sure she's not repeating anybody. Looks good. She uploads those contacts for the day, and then she checks them in REI reply, and then she sends off 100 at a time. Okay? So as soon as 100 finishes, she tees up the 100 more. As soon as 100 finish, She tees up 100 more. Of course, there's like a 10 to 15 minute gap, excuse me. But yeah, no more than, and she switches the phone numbers too in every, she switches the phone numbers every time she sends off a new message. So she changes her phone number in the software. So she has to go on the My Staff section, change her phone number from 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 at 8 a.m. and then 9 a.m. she changes it to 1 2 3 4 5 8 9, and then 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 at 10 a.m. and so forth and so on. It's tedious, guys. It's tedious work. It's not like you can upload 5,000, text messages and blast them. 5,000 homeowners and blast them in Roar. You can't do that anymore. All right, guys. Great questions. Great questions. So Paulo P from YouTube asks, where did you find your VA for SMS? Guys, we find our VAs. I source them myself. So I either source them on Facebook, onlinejobs.ph. I get a lot of people messaging me on Facebook, though, because they know I recruit. But onlinejobs.ph, that's a great resource to find VAs for texting. And guys, just because you have access to it doesn't mean you're master recruiter. So we have, I'll show you guys just my online jobs platform here. So, and let me know if you guys like the behind the scenes. For the last couple lives, I was doing the my Miro board, and it just seemed a little bit static. I think when I show you guys my screen, it's a little bit more interactive. So let me know if you guys like that. So onlinejobs.ph, love this. I just hired Shayna. Shout out to you, Shayna. So she is my ops manager, but I used her for a month. Hired her on for a month, And but now I actually trained her up to do dispo. So she's doing junior dispositions tasks for another one of my clients. So that's basically what I do. I bring people on. They work underneath my staff for about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month. And then once they're ready, I'll gift the client, but they paid for it. I'll give the person the VA who's already trained on the task. And so if they could keep up with me, they could keep up with my clients. So I'm very demanding to work with. Also, too, once they work with me, I like them working with me for a little bit because I get to know their personality. I get to know their strengths, their weaknesses, and there might be an area that they are a little bit better fit for. Like I hired Shayna for operations, and she can do operations really well, but she's great at dispo too. So she's going to be a junior dispo manager for one of my clients. And usually, guys, I love working with my VAs. Usually once they work with me, I'll always have a spot for them, especially if they do a great job, they show up on time and they're loyal. So I actually have a lot of VAs to go through. If you haven't seen my post on Monday, you can go to my YouTube channel. I think it might have been Monday I shot it. Maybe it was 2 days ago. The days are blending together. But my last live that I posted on my Facebook and on my YouTube actually went behind the scenes on hiring. So if you guys want me to cover hiring, let me know. I love talking about it, but I'll be honest, a lot of you guys like more so me discussing the lead generation part of things. So I usually take surveys from my audience, and that's what you guys want. So let me actually go to Facebook, make sure there's no comments that I'm missing here. There are not. Okay, great. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get back to it. And okay, yep. So Paulo said, thanks for explaining. Great. Awesome, guys. Where are you guys watching from? Are most of you guys watching from Facebook, on YouTube? Okay, I think most of you guys are on YouTube. Awesome. Most of the people I get are on Facebook. Now it's from YouTube. I like that. All right, guys, we're just getting into it. Drop your questions and I will answer them. I'm going to leave no stone unturned. You guys, I'm an open book here. Okay. I'm here to help you guys out. Oh my gosh. All right, Mara, you made a mistake here, man. We might not even get to cold calling because I love talking about this. So the best personality types for cold callers: ENFJ and ESFJ. So ENFJ and ESFJ. On so guys, on my last live stream, I actually went over this. So my job categorization sheet. So I actually have a sheet here where I keep track of all the personality types for the people that apply to my job. So I have my ops manager. She goes on onlinejobs.ph, looks at the applicants, and then she puts in the birthday profile, their birthday, and then their personality type, right? So ENFJs, I really like ENFJs. And Mara, I also like anybody born in April, May, or late March. So late March, April, or May. Any day in April. These people are going to be consistent. They're going to be loyal. They're going to be gutsy. They're going to be proactive, right? So if you find an extroverted, ENFJ, I would definitely hop on that person. And it's not going to be difficult finding somebody who applies for cold calling. Now, my whole thing is you want to make sure that they actually have experience cold calling. Guys, we don't take works in process. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. We don't take on projects. I've been talking all day, guys. Please forgive me. Might get a little tongue-tied here. But we've been, we don't take on projects. We don't take on people that we need to train. Those days are over with. I would say when I first started back in 2015, 2016, 2017, yes. But now these people should come equipped with knowing how to dial, knowing how to cold call. If they don't, they need to get with somebody in the Philippines that could take them underneath their wings and train them. There's more than enough people in the Philippines, and there's probably somebody in their family, they're family oriented over there, that can help them at least learn the basics before they even start applying to jobs with investors. So don't hire people without experience. It doesn't matter what their personality type is. If they don't have any real estate experience, don't hire them. You should be paying them $5 to $6 an hour. Now, Shayna, if you see here, she is an ISTJ. I think this is Shayna. No, Shayna was born in October. I have their names hidden. But yeah, she was born in October. ISTJ. So she's more of like an ESTJ. So she's more of an extroverted sensor thinker judger, which is an organizer. But which is why she has acquisitions, dispo, and cold calling experience, which is great. So she's going to do a great job for our client, Marcus Sullivan. Shout out to you, Marcus. And she's transitioning to his company next week. But she's been working underneath me for about a month. Great employee. Nothing but glowing things to say to her. Excuse me. Say about her. Okay. So personality types I would stay away from, guys, for cold calling or acquisitions. If it's an ISTJ, an INFP, I'll go to 16 personalities type. So the ones I would stay away from are INFPs. Under no circumstance would I hire an INFP in my business. ENFP, ESFP, ISTP, ISFP, ISFJ. Nah. INTP. These people wouldn't even apply. INTP is my personality type. ENTP and INTJ now. Guys, I'd stay away from all these personality types here I'm about to share with you guys. Guys, I would stay away from all these personality types. If you're an INFP, no offense to you, and you're in real estate, get out. You have no business in this industry. You probably don't like talking on the phone. Sales probably drain you. You are a great person. You're too nice for this industry. I know one INFP, he didn't last. I know one INFP, and all he did was complain about, why do the sellers say, why are they so mean to me? Why are the buyers like this? They freaking question everything about the business. You got to be a shark in here. You got to be a shark, guys. If you're an INFP and you're thinking about doing real estate, don't. I said it. Don't. Get out. You don't belong here. You're going to get eaten up with people like me. You're going to get taken advantage of. Because guess what? You're a poetic, kind, and altruistic person. This is 100 years of research, guys. This isn't me making this up, our theory. This isn't an Enneagram. 100 years of data-backed research, guys. So yeah, don't stay in the industry. You don't need somebody like that on the phone with you. ENFP. Now, they may come across extroverted, but they're all around nice people. You know, they're sociable, but these are more people that will be great guidance counselors, or a great, it says campaigners, and that's really right. So people that maybe you need to fundraise, people, they're not going to do great at negotiation or sales because they want to have harmony. They want everybody to win. So don't hire them. ESFP, these people are just fun. They live for the moment. They're not really motivated to rise in the corporate world. I knew one ESFP in the business, and he did a great job, but I wouldn't hire them in my business. ISTP, this is my sister's personality type. You probably won't get any ISTPs. And the reason why I'm saying this, guys, is sometimes, especially in the Philippines, they're going to try you. They're going to make their resume look good. They may have Chat GPT over here answering your questions. I literally did an interview last month with somebody who had Chat GPT over answering the questions. He was like, wait 1 second. And I was like, dude, are you using Chat GPT? And I didn't ask him conventional questions. And he kept on saying his microphone was busted. But it just took him a while to answer the questions because he was using Chat GPT. So, so you want to stay away from ISTPs, any introvert, anybody that has I in the front of it. Okay. ISFP, absolutely not. These are your artists. No. ISFJs, no. Don't hire my personality type. No. I'm an INTP. Don't hire me to cold call. ENTP, no. ENTPs make great business owners. INTJs, don't hire them as well. Okay. So that's a little crash course on that. So it's all about who you shouldn't hire is just as important as who you should hire. Okay, guys, let's get back to it. Let me know if that answered your question, Mara. Yes, the hiring process would be great. REI reply has gotten too complicated for me. I need to scale and need to hire VAs. So, hey, hit me up. Hit that link. I dropped it here. I know it's a little bit weird, but you could screenshot the work with us thing in the top left, and then my team will reach out to you. But we actively build businesses. I hire all these employees for people, and then I manage them too. So everybody that comes on board with me is for a month, 4 months minimum. So we manage the company for the first month, and then in the second month, we're hiring the employees. Third month, we're teaching the business owner how to take over some of the management tasks. And then the fourth month, we're just sitting back and letting the team, work in our. So let's see here. Why doesn't it show? Okay, yeah. So hit me up. Hit that link up. Okay, Paulo, you're watching from South Florida. Shout out to everybody on YouTube, and shout out to everybody who's watching the replay. Shout out to you, Brandon. So how many texts do you send out daily? 500. 500 to 600. That's about our capacity. Let me actually check my KPI sheets. I hope Marcus doesn't mind me sharing his KPI sheet. I'm not going to show you the sellers, but I am going to. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is just data. Okay, cool. So for one of our clients, we actually have KPIs I'm going to share with you guys. Okay. So this is my guy, Marcus. Okay. So I'm just going to remove this. Okay. So we are. Okay. So we generated. So 100 the first day. Let me see what on average. You know what? I cannot edit this. Give me 1 second. Let me download this and let me place this on my computer so I can do some averages here, some formulas. Sweet. So, computer's running a little bit hot here. I have like 100 tabs open. All right. So, damn, what's going on here? Okay, cool. All right, guys. So I'm about to share my screen with you all. I don't know we're on. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to respect him and not show his LLC information here. Okay, cool. All right, I think we're good now. So Brandon asked, how many texts are we sending off daily? Okay, so we are sending off about 500, right? We just started this campaign, and we're sending off about 300. But guys, that's fine. Really, what I'm looking for are about 5 leads a day. So on Tuesday, when we started this campaign, so that was last Tuesday, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So we got 3 leads and 5 leads and 9, 2, 6, 5 seller, 1 buyer lead, 12, 340, 9 leads, 8. Guys, this is insane. This is nuts. I love texting. Nobody's doing it. So if I look at the data here, just going to take this over here. And then I'm just going to put the numerical data here. So I'm just going to count the seller leads. 5, 12, 9, 4 seller, 4 buyer. Okay, cool. So average, and then we're going to, let's go ahead and round this sucker up. Oops. Okay, cool. So then I'm going to do divide it by percentage. That's insane, guys. So we have a 2% lead rate. Guys, we have a 2% lead rate so far. And my client, he already has a property that he's getting under contract. Honestly, it's signed already. He sent me a voice memo when I woke up from my nap earlier today, so I could be fresh for this live stream. But when I woke up, he gave me some good news. He was like, "Hey, CC, with this campaign, we have a buyer for a property already." And he went out to the appointment with the buyer. So he has 2 properties, one from a previous campaign on a previous list that we pulled for him back in April and March. But this campaign that we're working on, we started this junk on Tuesday of last week, and barely been a week of us texting, guys. And he already has a contract, and it's going to be a huge spread. And so that's a very nice house. He's in not a huge market either. He's in Savannah, Georgia. And so he's eating over there. So he went off, he got the property, got the buyer over there, took 2 buyers through it. Both are interested. And so that thing might be a sign, by the end of next week, as far as closed rather. So he said he sent him the paperwork, and so he just needs to sign it. So property's already under contract. So he got the property under contract like within the first 2 or 3 days of us doing the campaign. So texting is amazing, guys. So just because I say it's amazing doesn't mean we're not cold calling. We're cold calling too, right? We're cold calling, we're texting. He's doing bandit signs. So our goal is to get him 5 deals a month. So with his existing efforts of bandit signs and with I think he was just doing bandit signs, and then us doing cold calling for him and texting, we could expect 2 deals a month with texting and probably 2 deals with our cold calling strategy. and he's doing inbound. He's doing ZBuyer as well. So between cold calling and then ZBuyer and Bandit Signs, we'll probably get 3 contracts, but we'll definitely get 2 contracts a month with texting. That's how we get him 5 deals a month, right? So we already got 1, and so we just need to work on getting him another. So hopefully by the end of this week, we get another contract for him. Guys, I know I say this stuff almost like it's too easy. It took a long time for me to get here, and my brain just operates like this now. I tend to not reflect as much as I should about how difficult it was to get here. And I say a lot of these best practices, and just because I say them, guys, please, and they sound so simple, please don't dismiss all the work that we put in, our teams put in, even my clients, because my clients help me out with providing data to me as well, so I get a picture of what's going on in the United States. I've been doing this for 9 years, going on 10 years in January, and I've distilled all the best practices into just what works. So you'll get the truth from me, and I'm showing you actually live statistics, live data, and hopefully this gets you excited, even if you're in a smaller market. So a lot of what we do, guys, it comes down to the list as well. And so that's something I want to talk about too. Okay, great. John Lloyd, how you doing? So my lonely Facebook live viewer, everybody else is on YouTube. All right, guys, you guys doing well? Let me grab a sip of water here. Coming up on an hour. Drop any questions that you have. I want to see if I was streaming on IG. I don't know, guys. For some reason, I can't get IG to work here. IG Live. If you guys have any experience with streaming on IG, that'll be great. But it says I am, but I don't think it is right now. Okay, guys. You guys ready to go for another hour? Because I feel like I'm just getting started. I'm going to put the glasses on. So let's go with the questions here, guys. I love the questions. I literally feed off the interaction here. So Smooth, shout out to you, my guy. He said, I've tried batch dialer and I noticed we were having a delay issue when a call connects. 3 to 5 second pause before we hear the seller say hello. Is this a connection issue? That sounds like it might be a setting issue, my friend, on your computer. Because I've heard of that before. And I think that's an issue with the microphone or the settings on your computer. So you might need to check out any latency issues on your system. And you're probably using a Windows. I'm Team Mac. I'm not trying to hate over here, but it sounds like it's a Windows issue. I'm just gonna assume it is because Mac doesn't mess up, right? They just overcharge you for faulty software or for every bit of software. But in all seriousness, I think that might be an issue with your system. I don't think it's a batch issue. Okay, so so Mara said he had the same issue, and they did a troubleshoot, and they're not facing the issue. Okay, so dang, thanks for chiming in, Mara. So, do you mind just dropping in the chat, and I'll put it up here, Mara, what that issue was, if you don't mind, just what it was and how they resolved it? That'll be helpful, guys. I'm not an expert on all this stuff. I have a great team and they work really well with the technicalities. So I know the overall picture. I know when things go wrong, who to lean on, but by no means, guys, am I in these tools all day, every day. I know my way around, but I have some great team members that work with me and help me out. So which do you prefer, REI Reply or Go High Level? So Go High Level is, so REI Reply is built on Go High Level. Like, so my Build to Scale website is built on Go High Level, right? So I'll show you guys actually my actual website. and you're going to see the back end. You're going to be like, oh, that looks like REI Reply. Basically, what they did, the owner of REI Reply, he customized it and created Go High Level. Excuse me, he created REI Reply on top of Go High Level. So my CRM and everything is built on REI Reply. Excuse me, Go High Level. I'm getting confused. My CRM is built on Go High Level, but you see, it looks like REI Reply, right? So there's a ton of applications. Open Dispo is one that my client uses. So that's one is built on Go High Level. So it's almost like WordPress. If you think about building websites and putting themes on WordPress, same thing, guys. Same thing here. So a lot of companies are using it. I love this thing. Some quirks. It has a bit of a learning curve, but since so many applications are built on it now, it's worth learning because more than likely you're going to find an application that's built on top of this. So, but the interface is pretty much the same. They have workflows, they have automations, yeah, all this fun stuff. But again, this is for just this is just for my consultation company. So if you guys download my lead magnet cold calling script, where you get my cold calling script, my zip code analysis, and my seller objection sheet, you will then go into my funnel on Go High Level. Okay, great, guys. So yeah, man, we're ready, guys. The strong are only going to survive here. Absolutely, Smooth. Absolutely, my friend. Okay, guys, let's get back on task here. I went on a little tangent. You guys, show me some love. Hit the Okay, yeah, hit the like button if you haven't. I saw we had about 10, 12 people on YouTube, and we didn't have any likes, but I just refreshed it. Sound like Kevin Samuels out here. All right, guys, let's get back to it. So the topic at hand, and I know I meandered a little bit, but to be honest, all of this stuff ties into the topic we're talking about, which is cold calling still relevant? And the main thing I want to talk about here, guys, is to crush all of this fear around AI is going to replace cold calling. They actually got ahead. TCPA, the government, the powers that be, whoever is in charge of establishing these laws centered around cold calling and these standards, they did not mess around. Once they saw people start to build applications on top of these AI platforms, because there wasn't one person, there were a lot of people. I even thought about it, but I didn't go down this route, and that route was basically creating AI software to do cold calls for me. Now, text plus RVMs are one thing, like dropping an RVM on somebody's phone. But even with RVMs, you can't ringless voicemail. If you guys aren't familiar, they've established regulations around that. We can't just upload 10,000 sellers and a seller list and blast it in the morning and then it drop on people's phones like all 10,000 at once. It's going to trickle them out the same way that'll trickle out the text messages. So essentially what we have going on here in the last year or so are limiting this. I don't even like saying spam, but it comes across as spam with just spamming people, just making sure, a better word would be throttling. We're throttling how much volume could get sent out to an individual at once. Because, guys, there was a point in time where I was getting messages about a couple of properties that I own, like 20 a day. And I love this stuff. I love outbound marketing, but it's annoying when it happens to you, But it's karma. Might as well be karma because I was doing that to other people. And I'm glad they created laws around this. And I would say this too, guys, when it comes to texting, the reason why I love that so much is because our texting KPIs are right around, man, it's taking us 300 messages out, guys, roughly, to get about 6 leads. Now, this may average out over 30 days, but I stopped texting back in 2021, I believe, when I uploaded 5,000 text messages to Roar on a fresh list. that skip trace with the best data set that I have every single day for 2 weeks. And I got like 2 leads. And those were duplicate leads I had already. At that point, I knew texting was saturated. So a lot of people may say, oh, we can't do it anymore. But guys, you don't need to send off 5,000 messages to get 6 leads anymore. My text message response rate, you know what it was, guys, when everybody was able to text? It was 0.2% to 0.4%. 0.2 to 0.4. It was about that for 2 years. Now, when I first started in 2019, I was ahead of the curve. I had an application that I created called REI Text Blast. Some of you guys were on that, and I got shut down by Twilio abruptly. But while we were texting, guys, the good times were rolling. We basically had the same metrics we have now. It essentially culled the fat. The laws removed all of the spammers. Guys, people from overseas, they cannot sign up for these tools. They don't have LLCs. So you got to think, it eliminated a lot of the Pakistanis, a lot of these Filipinos companies, virtual assistant companies, eliminated a lot of the Egyptians, people on Fiverr. Nobody could text blast anymore. They can't. Those people can't text blast anymore because they don't have American LLCs. And then the people that have LLCs, they stop when they get rejected from the they stop when they get rejected once or twice from A2P. And then once they get cleared, they then have to learn about the best practices with texting in their tool. Think about all those hoops you have to jump through. Think about how many people have been eliminated from the pool of texting. Guys, now's the time. I love cold calling, but I don't rely solely on texting because really I know it's a volume game, and I know I will be able to generate more leads with cold calling. It's exponentially, the ceiling's higher with cold calling, right? I'm limited by my data on texting, and my lists don't last as long with cold calling. I got uploaded 10,000 record lists and dial that 30 days minimum, but probably 45 to 60 days with one cold caller and still eat off that list. But with texting, once I go through those 10,000 records, I have to pull more data. So it's not sustainable in that regard, especially if you want to be in the same market, because I don't like pulling the same data. So you have to have multiple markets that you're targeting. Okay. So this was our response rate back in 2021 to 2020. I would say 2020 to 2021. I'm sorry, 2022-ish, probably 3. I'm sorry, this is lead rate, not response rate, lead rate. Meaning if we sent off 10,000 texts, we can expect to get 1 to 2 leads. Guys, insane. Those were not great days. So now we could send off 300 texts, 500 texts really, and get 5 to 6 leads. So you're not blowing through data. And guess what? That's going to keep your marketing costs low. It's going to keep your marketing costs low. So I'm not big on, just pulling data for the sake of it. I'm all about volume, but it's all about what makes sense. And I found a good balancing point here where I never overpull data. Some people don't know what to pull, so they may pull 20,000 records or 30,000 records. They can't even get through that. The data goes bad before they're able to get to it. And then they may not even have a structure on how they're pulling that data. And so they may re-pull it later on once they go through that data in the next month or so. But a lot of people start off with targeting too few records. So we want to be in the middle here. And these KPIs that I'm sharing with you guys will get you there. So let's stop sharing here. And I'm going to go back to just wrap up this point about the TCPA. Okay, guys, when it comes down to the TCPA and is cold calling dead going into 2025, is it still going to be alive? Yes. So I don't believe in all this AI hype. Yeah, you heard me. AI is not real. Only thing that AI is, guys, is algorithms that are moving fast that have learned. Basically, it's just data mine previous data, and with the NVIDIA chips and all the the fast processing power now, the more powerful processing power now in these CPUs, it's able to basically generate decisions a lot quicker. It's not creating software for us, guys. I don't care if I can prompt it to say, "Oh, I want to, create an image of me of a cat on a bicycle." And on top of that, too, there's no creativity in all those prompts either. All those images look alike. They look like some freaking stupid 2012 EverQuest images, like characters, or during 2008 World of Warcraft image with some sort of like unrealistic font on them. Not font, but what am I trying to say? Filter on them. So there isn't any uniqueness in what we see. Now, is it going to get better? Yes. But the government already clamped down on what you can do with cold calling. So let me get to the point here. I know I'm going in a circuitous route, but any calls that sound AI generated, we can't basically robocall people with cold calling. So where's all those people now that were creating these software systems back in earlier this year in the summer? And people were saying, "Oh my gosh, this could emulate a human voice." And people were thinking, "Oh, well, I can upload 10,000 messages. I can just send off the messages through AI, through the software, and I don't even have to cold call. I don't have to hire employees. Yes, I don't have to be a business owner. I don't have to run a company. I could just sit back on a beach and I could have the bots do everything." Yeah, where are you at now? That's lazy, guys. That would never happen. It's not going to happen. You better learn the fundamentals of business. You guys are lazy out here. And I love lazy people in the industry because I just have to work a little bit harder and I'm able to basically go in their market and take all their properties. And then they're like, "Well, I don't know why this wholesaler sold this deal, or I don't know why, this property was under contract for, a month with us. And then somebody came along and offered them less and they signed with, Garland Enterprises. I don't know why that is, because you're lazy." So guys, I like technology. I love technology. I'm a nerd when it comes to that. But when it comes to my business, I don't play around with the fundamentals. I've just been doing this for too long. I put in my 10,000 plus hours in real estate. More than that, way more than that, guys. I eat, sleep, drink this stuff. I go to sleep thinking about this stuff and worrying, really. I used to worry a lot about the future, but I don't worry at all now because I know people are the fundamentals. People are the assets. People are the automation. Knowing how to hire great people, knowing how to train them, supporting them, and then having some sort of daily rhythm, whether it be a daily meeting, and keeping track of their KPIs so you know whether or not they are on task or not, or whether or not you have to have a sit down with them, or whether or not you need to change your list. That's what's important. And nothing will automate that. Even if things can automate your KPIs, I don't like that. Right? So we always use spreadsheets. My team has to manually input their KPIs. There was one time I was using DataBox. I love DataBox, but there's nothing like you having a spreadsheet and you inputting your KPIs and then you going on a team meeting the next day to go over your KPIs for the previous day. And then all the team members have to chime in and say, "Well, these are the KPIs I got." And then, if it's automated, then they may not question it. But if they have to manually input, "Man, I got 2 leads today, and I got 5 leads today. I got 0, 0, 0, 0." They may not look at that until the meeting that we have. But I want them to feel they got 0 leads. I want that to hurt when they put 0 in on their KPI sheet. So yes, we could automate it. KPIs and keeping track of it isn't so much for the owner. It is, but it's really for the employee as well. So they have a rhythm and they know how to track their work. And they know that we're staying on top of them with their work. A lot of the things I do in my company with monitoring my employees, it's so my employees know that I'm monitoring them, I'm watching them. If everything's automated, they're not going to think Big Brother Cece's over there watching their work. That's how I automate my business. That's how I know if they're working or not. If the KPIs are automated and they're required to send an EOD report, and let's just say the EOD report's automated, For all I know, they could not be working for half the day. They could be automating half their work. And that's not what we want, guys. So automation isn't necessarily a great thing. Okay. So in some regards, but I just learned that I don't like having it in my business. It could cause unnecessary complexities and end up making more of a mess in your business than not. Okay. So this, if you guys were concerned about AI and these robocalls, basically, doing more than your 2 cold callers could do, and you're like, oh man, I only have 2 cold callers. I'm cold calling myself. People have these AI software systems, and they're gonna send off these AI cold calls. Guys, that's not going to happen. They put a clamp down on that real quick. So AI technology to generate a simulated or pre-recorded human voice must satisfy the TCPA's consent requirements, including prior express written consent for marketing calls using AI. Who's going to pre-consent to using marketing calls for AI if we're cold calling? Now, if they opted in already, okay, cool. They're in your funnel. But that defeats the purpose. That's not what people are using the cold calling AI for. They were trying to use it basically to reach out to homeowners. I mean, what would stop somebody from uploading 1 million records in a system and just blasting homeowners and then qualifying them with, AI pre-recorded questions? Do you want to sell your home? Are you interested in selling? Because I heard some of it. It's scary. But I knew whenever I heard that and I heard people having conversations with those bots, I said, man, all right, I already know what's going to happen. I said TCPA is going to clamp down on that. And they did. Guys, don't believe the hype. Don't fearmonger. Focus on your business. Literally, focus on your business. I'm not just saying mind your business, but focus on your business. Focus on the fundamentals. Focus on what I'm teaching you. I'm in the zone. Only time I come up out of my rabbit hole is when I need to come out to really get more clients. I'm just going to be frank with you. I do these lives to teach and stuff, but really I'm at the point where, hey, somebody sees my content, they love it. I need to consistently put content out there to you guys. I want to keep you guys informed. I love doing this. But yeah, listen, this is how I market for my business. It's people pay me for my smarts. They pay me for the 10,000 hours I put in. So they don't have to waste time, energy, effort, and money figuring this stuff out. I've done it. I've lost sleep. I shed it blood, tears, man. Literally both, guys, over this stuff. And I love what I do, but it took me a while to get here, and the road has not been easy. So I don't get spooked out when I see this stuff. So, for me, and I don't know if you guys saw my Facebook, I'll share you guys my Facebook. Guys, I don't see any feeds over here. I have this thing called Newsfeed Eradicator, and it eradicates the news feeds. So when I wake up in the morning and then whenever I need to go on Facebook, I don't even see a news feed. I'm in my own zone over here, guys. I control what goes in my mind. I control where my mental bandwidth goes. I'm an assassin. I don't have any wasted time. Even when I'm taking a nap, it's planned, right? Oh, today after my client call with my client Brian from 2:30 to 4 o'clock, I was napping to wake up. And then I had a call with somebody because they had an issue actually with a property that they purchased their own home. So I had an hour call with them because they bought a home from a flipper and it has a lot of plumbing issues, electric issues. So I had about an hour call with them, gave them some consultation. Then I prepared, set aside 30 minutes for this call to prepare for this call. Then I hopped on this call. Guys, that's how you want your day to be. Boom, 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 boom. There's nothing better, no better educator and no better teacher or developer, rather, of personal development and improving your life skills than having a business, your time management and all that. So that's my little minute of my little educational mindset minute. So do you think Call Tools is the best dialer? Now, I've only used Call Tools for about, you know what? I never had a Call Tools account. I had clients I work with, and I used their Call Tools account. I think it's too clunky. I think there's too much customization that you can do in Call Tools. And so for me personally, I don't know. I don't think Call Tools, I think the interface will distract employees and it'll cause employees not to be able to learn the system and pick up the system quickly in order to start dialing. And so even though something may be the best dialer, guys, how I think about things is how long would it take me to onboard somebody? Do they need a PhD? Do they need to have 150 IQ to learn this? So yeah, I can get some systems that would be complicated and do more automations. But again, I'm thinking about systems, systematizing my business, making things simple. Keep it simple, stupid. That's why I have to tell myself. That's why I don't get distracted with a lot of software and systems that people give me, because I know I'm not going to be the one using it. An employee is. And so if it takes me a month to learn how to use it and get familiar with it, it's going to take the employees that long too. So I don't like, I would say Batch Dialer right now for me is the best dialer. I like Batch. I like Batch a lot. The interface is simple. It's intuitive. It has just enough customizations in it to address any functionality issues. Their support's great. What else about Batch? I really like the interface. It looks so sleek. And on top of that too, it really does a great job of optimizing your list. So it doesn't eat up your list. I don't know how Ready Mode or ZenCall is now, but whenever ZenCall was moving to Ready Mode back in 2000 and I believe 2021, they were going through some issues. And I would upload a 10,000 record list with one cold caller, and that thing would be ran through by the end of the week. Fresh list. And every time I tried to delete that list to re-upload it fresh as a fresh list, reset all the dialer settings, ZenCall still, or Ready Mode after it changed its name, Ready Mode still did not recognize that list as a fresh list. Even though I deleted all the records, deleted the campaigns, I would upload that list and it would say the health was still at 2%. And ZenCall, I'm sorry, I keep on saying that. Ready Mode, no disrespect here. The interface sucks, man. It looks like I'm looking at Windows 95, 98 at best. So for me, it's Batch. I have a very lean tool stack. Guys, I have a very boring yet profitable business. You can ask any of my clients. Shout out to Marcus, the guy who I showed you the KPIs for. You guys get him, guys. We're eating right now. And he's been following my advice since 2021. And his business is rolling. He's closed, man, so many assignments off of 2 lists I pulled. 2 lists of 10K records back in March and April, 40K assignment, 50K assignment. He got 40K assignment on one list I pulled. Tremendous ROI. But guys, he doesn't get distracted. I'm not saying I know everything, but when it comes to operations, like acquisitions, guys, that's you. I can work my way around acquisitions, but my brain doesn't naturally think like that. But when it comes to pulling the list, when it comes to the data, guys, listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Don't get distracted out here. I'm giving you guys a real deal Holyfield. My mind works in a very logical fashion, and I don't like embellishing. You won't hear me say anything like with embellishment. It just sits uncomfortable with me. And that's something that I stopped doing too, with being really extreme in my language and, even like my marketing. Guys, if you like what I put down, work with me. If you don't, if I'm a little bit dry or if I'm a little bit too logical, guys, you don't have to work with me. Honestly, the people, I already know the personality types that are attracted to me and my teaching style. Any like intuitives, like INTJs, ENFJs, you'll love working with me. Or INFJs, you'll love working with me. So INFJ, ENFJ, ENTP, not ESFJ. We don't really click like that. But yeah, I can work with anybody, but I would say those are the types that really rock with my teaching style, right? Any intuitives. So do you use IVR for your dialer? No, actually, we don't. Now, if you're working by yourself, and so this is something, guys, I want to explain to you guys. A lot of what I'm saying to you guys and relaying to you all is based off of running 7-figure annual wholesale companies, right? So I was a marketing director for one for over a year back in 2019 and 2020. And then after that, in Burlington, North Carolina, you guys are familiar, that's how I got in the show 50/50 Flip on A&E. So I ran their operations and their marketing for them. And so I've ran like 7-figure companies. So a lot of what I do is more on like a 30,000 foot view. If you focus on these small nuances, when you have 100,000, calls going out a month, then you end up needing to hire people to address an area that really doesn't matter. So that goes back to IVR. So in my case, I don't have IVR because I know if somebody calls back, we're going to hit them again in probably in the next day or two or week on our list. If we didn't call them and then they didn't mark us as spam or say to unsubscribe, or we didn't pick up the phone and they said, take me off your list, and we didn't manually say, take me off your list, we're going to dial them again. So they're going to get dialed. So if they see the phone number or a local area code, it's on them to pick up. We don't leave voicemails and we don't use IVR. If anybody's asking IVR, I forgot what it stands for, but essentially when somebody calls back to your dialer, it routes that call to an agent. I just found that, guys, some of these things just aren't important to focus on. It's similar to, it could take up a lot of resources because a lot of these people get called back and them not be interested in selling. So your agent could be dialing this person, they could be getting a lot of calls back. And when they get the calls back, that person could curse them out or say they're not interested. What if half of their day they're answering calls back and nobody's interested in selling? And they only got 400 outbound dials in. They only got 4 hours of dialing in, and they need 8 to at least generate 1 lead a day with cold calling. If they get 8 hours in that seat and they get 1 lead a day, that's great. That's how many hours they need at a minimum to generate 1 lead. 2 leads is great, is great. 3 is outstanding, but that is not the norm. So if they're not sitting in that seat doing outbound dials, if they only have, let's just say 400 to 600 dials out, and they need 1,100, 800, 1,100, and they're answering inbound calls, your metrics are going to suffer. And this is actually what happened while I was working with as a marketing director for that one company I mentioned here in Charlotte. So we were having an issue with our lead flow with cold calling, and we were trying to figure it out. We were like, what's going on here? And it turns out that we had about 20 agents on staff, but most of the agents, over half their day, they were taking inbound calls. So what we ended up doing is we did want to actually set up IVR eventually once we figured out what the issue was, but we dedicated 1 agent just to take inbound calls. And it didn't eliminate the performance of the overall campaign because we were generating about 40 to 50 leads a day. That was 2019 to 2020 with cold calling. So IVR, again, guys, you're not going to hear the most popular thing from me. This isn't like the politically correct answer. I just don't think it's important to have set up. I think it's more important to have outbound calls out. You hit your outbound call numbers, 800 to 1,100 dials a day, 8 hours in that seat cold calling. If you're using a virtual assistant, if you're not hitting your metrics of leads per day, it's because you're not hitting your outbound dials a day. Okay. So an IVR is a distraction from that. You're not going to get people that call back and they'll be qualified leads. Most of these people are going to be annoyed because I'll tell you, do RVM and ask me how many people, whenever you leave an RVM, they see a phone number that they don't recognize and then a voicemail drop. Ask me how many of those people are interested. And we're sending out thousands of voicemail drops. And when I did RVM with Drop Cowboy a few months ago, earlier this year in Q1, yeah, it didn't work well. It didn't work well. And it didn't make sense dedicating that dedicating that employee bandwidth and personnel time to using that tool. It made more sense just to have that person dial out. So, that's my answer to that. Let me know if that answered your question. Okay, cool. All right, guys, let's go on for a few more minutes here. I hope you guys are enjoying this. So let's go back to the topic at hand. I'm going to have to do another live here, guys, to go over this stuff. But I love talking about this. I love answering you guys' questions. It gives me energy. So what about AI? Is this going to replace cold calling? No. Right? So let's talk about all of the ways that all the components that impact the number of leads that you're generating. So I already said one. So best practices. For cold calling to ensure you generate 1 to 2 leads per day. Let's just say the benchmark. And guys, the benchmark is what you're aiming for. If you don't know what you're aiming for, how do you know if you're at your destination? So guys, when I first started, and this may seem simple, you guys may know, oh, of course it's 1 to 2 leads a day for cold calling. Guys, I had nobody to tell me this stuff. Like back in 2018, nobody knew this stuff. If you went to a mastermind back in 2015, 16, or 17, or 18, I'll tell you what would happen. You would ask these questions and they would say, well, you just have to spend more money. And even if they track KPIs, they wouldn't even tell you like what the metric you were like looking for or aiming for, or even what metrics mattered. So if somebody was tracking KPIs, they were tracking, how many, they would like get the dollar report and they basically just say whatever was on the dollar report was statistically relevant, like how many hours they were in the seat, how much dead time there was, or what the calls to connect were. And that's important, meaning how many calls it takes to get to one connection, like how many outbound calls with triple on dollar. But that's not statistically relevant. What I really found is statistically relevant with cold calling, and really if you're going to track anything, is how many hours are you dialing? Should be 8. How many leads, how many dials are you getting out? If you're sitting in this seat for 8 hours, you should be getting out in your dialer, I would say 700. It's really like 800. It may dip below that, but over the course of a month, it'll average out in between 800 to like 1100. Guys, if you're getting above this, you need to check your dialer settings because you're blowing through data. You should be dialing at a triple line dialing speed. So some people may say, well, my cold caller generated 2 leads today. And I've seen KPI sheets where there's been 2,000 records. Your list is going to you're going to go through your list like that. And guess what? You're going to have to buy more data. And that's not the goal. And that increases our marketing costs. And at the end of the month, I may spend $2K on data and you may have spent $10K on data. And I may have closed 2 deals and you may have not got any. That's why people quit real estate, guys. Guys, it's not just one component that causes a machine to break. It's a myriad of components. It's a business, guys. A lot of you guys may come to me and you're like, oh, what list are you pulling? Or, even like, where do you get your employees from? Or where do you pull your list? Guys, I don't mind telling you guys that stuff. Some people may say, oh, don't share that. Or you don't have an affiliate link with them. Don't share that. Guys, I don't care, because I know, and really what I do now, yes, I do marketing for people, but I also understand that my operations and the team members I have in place, and I've done hundreds of interviews. I've hired hundreds of employees, probably thousands of interviews, hundreds of employees I've hired. And my processes are smooth. I know this business like the back of my hand. I can do it in my sleep. So with that being said, again, these are the metrics that matter. 800 to 1100 dials per day. If you're getting, now I would say this, if you're getting below this and you're still generating 1 to 3 leads a day, great. That's good. That's fine. Now I would say that's not common. And if it goes up to 800 to 1100 dials the next month, once you change your list and you're like, we want to get, I want to save my data. I want to get back to 500 dials to get 1 to 3 leads. And you're getting frustrated at your cold caller. That's not realistic. like right now in one of the campaigns that we're dialing for one of our clients, we looked at his KPIs and he got in like $500 yesterday, really for the last couple of days, and he got 3 leads. I'm like, man, that's really good. And he thought he was doing something wrong. Now, he was trying to get ahead of it. And he said, well, I had to call buyers. He was calling buyers and he was doing some other stuff. And he was like, hey, I wasn't able to get all my dials. And I said, dude, you called 500 people, or you dialed 500 people and you got 3 leads. Awesome, man. So he hit his mark for that day. Okay. So, and then one thing also too, I would say no more than 2 agents on a 10,000 record list over the course of 30 days. Okay, guys. So let me break this down. You don't want no more than 2 agents dialing a 10,000 record list over the course of a 30 days. So, 5,000 records per agent. So some of you guys may try to cheat the game. I've done this before, so I'm guilty of this. And I may say, well, let me save on data. Let me put four people on a 10,000 record list. That's actually going to cause your list to get eaten up really quickly, like twice as quickly, or 3 times as quickly, or 4 times as quickly. So, you want to make sure that you're not doing that, because it's not going to generate, even if you're like, well, I could put 4 agents on it. And if they generate 2 leads a day times 4, and let's just say I go through that over a week times 5, it's not going to generate 40 leads. It doesn't work like that. Don't ask me why. Logically, you would think it will work like that, but it doesn't work like that. So, you want to make sure that you're able to call that list over the course of the month. Okay. Let me hide this. You guys got any questions for me? So these are the best practices. These are the benchmarks that I'm aiming for. Should be 8 hours a day. And our people call 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. local time. Again, guys, if you're doing this yourself, call 2 hours after. I'm talking to you guys as if I'm building a business, as if I'm actually setting up a business for somebody else, as if we are functioning like we are a 7-figure real estate company. So you have to practice with how you're going, or where you're going. But for some of you guys, you're just starting off, and that's fine. If you're just starting off, some of these things you might not apply to you. Okay. You might say, well, I only have to dial 3 hours a day and get 5 leads. Okay. It's nice, but that's not what the benchmark is. The benchmark is basically the average, the industry average. If you're lower than it, like if you're, underachieving, then you need to make sure that you get to the average. If you're overachieving, like I said down here, you have like 500 dials in a day and you're getting 3 leads. Great. That's awesome. Those are the best practices. Guys, these are the KPIs I look for. I don't track any other KPIs. Well, I track them. Like I track my connection rates. That's another one I track, actually. Connection rate. I track like 12 or 13 on my KPI sheet. But the ones that are statistically relevant, so if you weren't going to put any other ones or track any other ones in your day, I would track these. Okay. So the connection rate is going to be about 10%. 10% and 20%. I would say really 10% is what we're averaging right now, even on a fresh list. And if the lead flow dips down, if the connection rate dips down, and then you need to ask your agents this. So if their lead flow is dipping down, if you've dialed your list for maybe 5,000 records, if you dialed that for 2 weeks, then and then their lead flow is decreasing and it's like 0. It was initially like 2 to 3 and then like 1 to 2 leads a day for maybe 2 weeks. And then the third week, it's like 1 and then 0, 0. So and then it's like 1 lead. And then the next 2 days is like 0, 0. And then it's like 0, 0. Okay. You need to ask your agent at that point, okay, how long is it taking you to connect to another seller after you get a connection. If they say like 5 to like 15 minutes, you need a new list. Now, if they say this, okay, I will say this. Within, if they say this at the 3rd week mark of one agent calling a 5,000 record list, because that's what we usually do. We don't upload 10,000 record lists. We pull them at the top of the month, but we usually dial 5,000 records at once. I just don't want the dialer running through the data. So if you need a new list. Okay, so if they say at the 3rd week mark and one agent's calling a 5,000 record list, if they say this, okay, change your list. Now, if they say this during the 1st week, then you need to look at your data. Your data might be bad. Or you upload it, a duplicate list, and the dialer didn't catch it maybe. Most of the dialers do. So again, guys, these things I'm looking for here, these things I'm talking to you guys about, they are, it's not just one component I'm looking for. It's multiple areas I'm looking for to determine whether or not the health of my cold calling campaign works. Guys, that's why people say cold calling's dead. And I'm going to wrap it up here. That's why people say this. Oh, cold calling's dead, or there's nothing left in it. Guys, those people are lazy. It'll never be dead. Don't listen to the hype. Don't listen to the echo chambers. Guys, listen. I would say listen to me. But no, guys, listen to your intuition. If you feel like you're out there on social media too much, on TikTok, on Instagram, or you've been watching me too much, guys, turn it off. Go back to the fundamentals. Don't let other people fearmonger you. I'll be honest, guys, I've had to pay to boost some of my YouTube videos just because my YouTube videos used to get like 5,000 to 6,000 views on average, going back 5 to maybe 3 years ago. But YouTube now favors entertainment related content. So you'll see on a lot of these bigger wholesaling channels and real estate channels, it's fear mongering. How many of these predictions have come through? Who's talking about the real estate crash? You remember people were talking about that late last year, early this year? The market's crashing, Nothing happened. How many people were talking about, hey, I was going to take over real estate. We don't need, we're going to be able to sell houses with Bitcoin and all that stuff. What happened? Guys, they do that stuff for views. I can't do that. It's just not in me. So, I'll pay here and there to boost my content organically, like push like Google and Facebook ads to it to get my content out in front of people. But it's not pushing my stuff like it used to because it's not entertainment. Guys, I entertain myself whenever I go out in the streets. I don't entertain myself in my business. That's lame. Freaking lame, guys. I've been doing this for 9 years. I just like what works. I just like what works. I don't like surprises. I like stability. I like predictability in my company. I hope you guys do too. And you guys are going to get the truth from me. So I'm going to get off my soapbox there. Try to keep things positive. Let's wrap up some questions here. If you guys have any, drop them. Okay. So question here. What do you think about the fact we can't say certain words in our text? Doesn't it make it harder to be clear about our intentions when we first reach out to leads? That's a great question. You just have to be more clever about what you say. Now, there is actually there was a text that I saved. I got a text message actually from a home buyer that wanted to buy my parents' house. I deleted the message, but I saved the image, and it said, hey, my dad's name, Casey here from Titan Real Estate. I noticed you own blah, 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 Town Square Road, right? If it's available, we can pay in full. So you see what they said there? I'll type it here. Now, this isn't a message that I would send off. We rotate our text messages. That's another best practice too with REI reply. But it said, hi. First, I'm going to drop this in the chat. Give me 1 second. Okay, cool. So this is a message that they sent me, right, wanting to buy my parents' house. I'm pretty sure these guys are house buyers in Charleston. So it said, hi, first name is actually said my dad's name. Casey here from Titan Real Estate. I noticed you won't own 123 Main Street, right? If it's available, excuse me, I said we can pay in full. Okay. We can pay in full. Excuse the typo there. Reply, stop, and unsubscribe. So you see how that went through. But again, guys, none of this stuff is going away. Like texting or cold calling, we just have to make sure we're keeping up with the best practice. Not keeping up with the best practices. We're maneuvering around laws, right? Not everything is doom and gloom. You know, some people may say, oh, you know, they put all these laws in place, I can't text. Well, guys, let's just think a little bit. You know, okay, hey, if you say where you're from, great. I notice you own 123 Main Street, right? The person's not going to, you think, okay, well, this person probably wants to buy the house. They said, if it's available, we can pay in full, right? So pay up to this point isn't a spam word because it went through. Now, if you said buy or cash or anything like that, yeah, it would have gotten marked as spam. So only thing we got to do, guys, is we just got to be a little bit smarter here with what we're with how we're delivering the messages. So that's a great question, Paolo. Really, really, really great question. Because honestly, my team, I had to tell them everything's okay, but we're just going to have to navigate through this and really test out the text messages to see what goes through and what doesn't. And it took about 4 months to really figure out what to say in the text, because it's not like when these laws came out with the A2P compliance, they came out with a handbook of what you could and could not do. We were learning and they were learning just like with us. You know, I think they actually went too strict on the filters back in February and March. Like all of our messages were getting blocked, and we were using our best practices back then. But you know, there was like 2 weeks. I remember, maybe it was like May, can't remember exactly, but you know, they were blocking all of our texts. Twilio was, the carriers were, but they loosened up, and then now it seems like we're in a good place. But that doesn't mean if more people start texting, they're not going to put more words on the spam list. Pay may be on the spam list next year. But what do we do at that point, Paolo and everybody on here? We don't go get all doom and gloom and say, oh, it's done with. No, we just figure out what we can say and then, you know, experiment, and then we send the messages off. And if they go through, they go through. I'm banking on people quitting. I love quitters, not working for me or with me or being around me, but I love quitters in the same industry I'm in. I don't consider anybody competition because I know I outwork them. I'm up here at 8:45 talking to you guys, and I'm about to comp some properties after this and create some more content for my audience. So guys, night's just getting started for me. Okay, guys, I hope that answers all your questions. This was a great live. We went on for about an hour and 15 minutes. I'll probably do this again tomorrow. I like this time. If you guys like this time, let me know. I think a lot of people are able to join around this time. So I'm going to try to do these in the evening, and then I'll try to give you guys a day notice. But just plan, if I am going to go live, it'll be around 7:00 p.m. EST. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, if you want to work with us, click the little link here in the top left with work with us. You can screenshot that. I'll also drop it in the comments here on YouTube, on Facebook, and then in the description on YouTube. All right, guys. I will see you guys later.